If you're a truck driver, you need to see this video because there are 3 red flags that DOT cops notice before you even come to a complete stop in many cases. And if DOT inspectors or state troopers see any of these red flags, there's an extremely high chance that you're going to be getting a level 1 inspection. No questions asked. My name is Cole. I'm a state DOT cop and I'm here to drop videos every single week to break down DOT rules, any DOT and trucking myths out there, but most of all to help you stay squared away on the road and avoid bad interactions with DOT cops. And the main reason that I'm choosing to make this video is because way too many drivers think that all and every single inspection are just completely random. But I'm here to tell you no. Us DOT cops, we look at visual cues on trucks and equipment, and we look at your interior of your truck as you're driving up to a scale house or weigh station. I'll talk about that a bit later. And that pre-screening that we do a lot of the times is what leads to us deciding if you're going to get a level 1 DOT inspection. And as we all know, if you're not prepared or not squared away, that level 1 DOT inspection is no joke. It's going to include things like your brakes, your tires, your suspension, your lights, your steering, load securement, driver qualifications, and much more other things. I have a full video breaking down what a full level 1 inspection looks like on my channel, so check it out. But today we're going to focus on the top 3 red flags that we as DOT cops notice before you even step out of your truck or come to a full stop. Now here's red flag number 1, and that's going to be visible load or equipment imbalance. So if your truck is rolling up to a weigh station or scale house and we can visually see that your load is shifting all over the place, or it's sagging to the left or sagging to the right heavily, that sounds like nothing, but that just one thing is a pretty bad violation, and a lot of times that does lead to a full level 1 inspection. This red flag really is a massive one because we can see it from pretty far away. Before you even hit the ramp, many DOT officers are looking for things like a trailer that's sagging too low, a tractor sitting high in the front end, loads that are leaning left or right, airbags not inflated evenly, and things like loose straps or broken straps. And this is straight from the CVSA inspection procedure. We call this visual indicators before approach. And these are all pretty much inside things that I am sharing with you as a driver so that you can be squared away and that you can share this with as many drivers as possible. Now, if you're wondering why is load securement and load imbalance such a big deal and why is it a big red flag? Here's why. Any imbalance can mean a few of these things: overweight axles, faulty suspension, load securement risk, bad brakes, cracked leaf springs, or blown airbags. And CVSA data proves that brake and load securement are always top violations and issues during National Blitz weeks. So quick story time, because you know I gotta toss those in for you for that real life connection. Just last week, a driver passed me on the interstate doing nothing wrong. He wasn't speeding, there was no lane violations, there was no tailgating, and the truck looked completely normal at a distance. But as he drove by me and I looked closer at the combination, I noticed that 3 of his loads that were on that open trailer were shifting in opposite directions. And they were actively moving, which is pretty bad, especially on the interstate. So what did I do? Well, I stopped him just to talk to him, have a conversation, and do an inspection on him. I pulled him into a safe weigh area and I conducted a level 1 inspection on this person. I ended up finding about 6 violations in total, and he was out of service. So just a quick moral to that story: if his load securement was a-okay, I probably would have never even stopped that truck and he would have just been good to keep driving. So stick with me until red flag number 3, because it's the one that most drivers don't even know that DOT can see. Hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever seen a truck rolling loaded like if it's about to tip over at any second now, because I see it quite often. Right now, it's time for red flag number 2. This one's different, and honestly, it's the one that truckers tend to go a little bit back and forth with us on more than a lot of the other things out there. So this big red flag number 2 is going to be a very trashy dash. If you have trash and paperwork all over your dashboard stacked sky high, it's not a good look. And I'll tell you right now, as soon as inspectors see that, bells go off in their head about what else might not be organized with that truck, and just they start wondering if that truck is even put together or taken care of properly at all. So messy dashboard, super cluttered cab, big red flag. And now before anybody jumps down my throat, let me just explain this with a couple facts from FMCSA. Under 49 CFR 392.9 and 392.7, officers are allowed to consider driver fitness indicators including alertness, organization, readiness, and control of the vehicle interior. So in other words, things like trash, clutter, scattered paperwork, food containers, bottles and cans rolling all over the floorboards, all of these can suggest a driver who might neglect their truck, neglect their hours of service possibly, and or completely neglect their pre-trip responsibilities. Again, that doesn't always mean that those things are definitely happening, but there's a very high chance, and in my experience over the hundreds of inspections that I've completed, I've found this to be true. This isn't about judging someone, this is really just about risk indicators. So you may be wondering, why exactly is a messy cab a red flag? And I got several reasons for you. 1, it signals potential hours of service issues, because disorganized drivers tend to have unsorted logs, missing documents, conflicting trip sheets, receipts, and just poor record keeping in general. Another reason is that it signals possible fatigue. Trash buildup can often mean long hours, no breaks, or just rushing from load to load. And the third reason I have is that it can signal improper control of the interior of that truck. FMCSA 392.9 states that cargo and equipment must not interfere in any way with the driver's operation, and that includes the cab. And generally, DOT sees signs of clutter everywhere as a general sign of neglect, like mentioned before. If inside the cab is super chaotic, outside the cab a lot of times is also chaotic. What do they say? If it walks like a duck again? Yeah, you see where I'm going with that. We actually had a driver roll into the detail one time with receipts on the dash, food containers everywhere, and loose tools and full cans rattling around in the cab, including near his pedals. A level 1 was conducted on that combination, and surprise, surprise, that combination was out of service for severe neglect of many things with the combination, truck and trailer. So again, another example, something many people call like super simple, like a messy dash turned into a $900 repair day for this person. All right, comment below and tell me right now, please be honest, how clean is your dash? From 1 to 10, let me know. And keep in mind what I'm saying here, I'm not saying that your truck needs to be spotless and shiny at all times. I understand life is life, you're on the road and so forth. But when DOT sees a cab that looks like a hurricane went through it, it's a potential sign that something else could be wrong. All right, but red flag number 3 is one that I see more than anything, but it's invisible to the driver pretty much. But we see it before we even stop you and open up your door. Red flag number 3 is going to be driver behavior before the stop or before the inspection. This is going to be under FMCSA 390.3. This one really does catch more drivers than anything else out there. According to FMCSA and CVSA, here are some behavioral cues that officers are trained to watch and notice. Excessive lane drifting. And no, I'm not talking about the wind. Late braking, slow reaction times, jerky movements, speeding through scale houses, and things like talking on the phone. Not with the headset, but they have the phones up to their ear talking, or they're, have it on speaker talking while driving like this. All of those things can be indicators of fatigue, distraction, impairment, which I have seen in person and someone has gotten arrested for impairment, poor training, lack of confidence behind the wheel, or sometimes some people are literally trying to hide violations. I actually caught a guy once, and after I found the violation, he said, "All right, you got me. I didn't think you'd see it. That's why I tried to stop before the scale house, because I was trying to figure out if I was going to blow by or pull in." Weird, but he admit that to me. A quick example for how a driver's driving behavior can raise suspicion for us DOT inspectors, because I know that can sound kind of confusing. So months ago, I had a driver coming into the scale house. He was going very slow. I'm talking very slow, maybe less than 8 miles an hour or something like that, if I had to guess. He kept hitting his brakes and stopping all the way until he made it up to the scale house, and that definitely put off some red flags in my head. So I ended up having a conversation with this driver, and I decided I was going to pull him aside for a full inspection, level 1 inspection, because the truck also wasn't looking too great. By the end of that level 1 inspection, he had violations for false logs, 14-hour violation, his med card was expired, and 2 of his brake cans were leaking severely. And that's a prime example of how his driving behavior and driving patterns pretty much gave him away before I even spoke to him or touched his paperwork. I hope this is like fully resonating now. If you want more behind the scenes DOT breakdowns like this one, hit that like button, share this video to all other truckers out there. It helps the channel, but it also lets me know that you want more. Right now, I'm going to give you a quick 30-second checklist that you can use as a driver to help avoid all of these red flags that I talked about in this video. So I hope you're still here. All right, truckers, here's your simple checklist. Do a real pre-trip, 5 to 7 minutes minimum. Catch any imbalances before DOT does. 2, I would say clean your dash daily or every single week. Throw out trash, stack paperwork neatly, secure tools. This literally takes 30 seconds or less. Tip number 3, just gonna be to drive as smoothly as possible when approaching the scale. Stay calm, maintain your lane, and don't be braking every 3 seconds. Number 4, just gonna be to know your equipment. Broken lights, worn tires, loose mud flaps are all things easily fixed and things that we see from far away. So fix it before we can get to it. 5, just gonna be to control your interior of your cab. Loose objects rolling around equals a violation risk. That's a really easy one to just clean up. 6 is just to stay organized. As I always say, have one binder or one folder and put everything inside of it. We love to see that. Tell me down in the comments, which one of these 3 red flags surprised you the most? And remember, truckers, DOT inspections don't have to be some scary mystery. If you understand what officers look for and you take proper care and maintain your vehicle, you can avoid 90% of these issues. I hope you learned something today. Well, I know you learned something today. So until the next video, stay safe, keep rolling.